Marvel and Star Wars, two legendary universes that have shaped pop culture. But what if they collided? I couldn't get enough of this idea, so that's exactly why I took some of your favorite Marvel characters and dropped them into the Star Wars universe. But I did not just stop there. I reimagined their powers, their backstory, and their overall look to really sell the effect that they are from a galaxy far, far away. And trust me, you are gonna want to see how this turned out. Let's go ahead and start with Wolverine. He's already a beast, but can you imagine if we made him a Sith Lord? I'm thinking lightsabers for claws and Sith eyes, just like Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. Something that screams, do not mess with me. So starting out, I pulled a Frostify signature move and grabbed a rock image from Envato Elements. I also went ahead and cut out Wolverine from the brand new Deadpool and Wolverine movie, which was fantastic, by the way. I really enjoyed it. I quickly realized a problem I was going to have with the blending of the feet by the rocks, and I overall just kind of chalked it up to, I'm too lazy to figure it out, so let's go ahead and blend them behind the rocks. And it's definitely safe to say that after trying to cut out these claws for about an hour, I definitely lost some brain cells. It hurt a lot. Next up, I decided to add a nice space sky, because something that I imagined is like, what if Wolverine was on a fiery planet and, you know, the Death Star was there and maybe another Star Wars planet of some kind was right behind him. So I then did a classic move and I darkened all of my layers, and I spent a good long while adding some really good highlights around Wolverine and other things like that. Now, in case you guys forgot, one of the things that I mentioned was that I wanted him to have lightsaber claws, and this was one of the hardest things I had to do in Photoshop because of my technique and my overall approach to it. I think I spent like 45 minutes trying to figure out like how I could make those look like lightsabers until I eventually figured it out. Now, up until this point, I had lighting on his face, I had lighting all over the body, and I just could not figure out what this was missing until I remembered he needs the Sith eyes. So I started painting a bright red ring around kind of like the iris of the eye, like the color part of the eye. I took a very small orange brush and I just kind of like went up and down and set it to linear dodge add, and oh my gosh, it looks insane. Next up, I added a fantastic back glow behind Wolverine. I always love to do this in my art pieces because it kind of just like pops out on the canvas. It's pretty wild. And at this point, I was thinking, what else could I add to the scene? I mean, you've got a bright galaxy sky that's just empty. Obviously, we got to add the Death Star. So I added the Death Star and did some really good kind of like blending techniques here and there. I really wanted to sell the fact that Wolverine needed to be a Sith because for some reason I feel like Logan would be a gnarly villain. And so one of the things that I really wanted to try and push was the fact that these lightsabers should be red because he's a Sith. I tried to add some bullets that like a TIE fighter would shoot because I had like an idea in my head of a TIE fighter shooting at him, but it didn't make any sense because obviously he's a Sith. A TIE fighter would never shoot at him, and it was just a mess. So we moved on. But don't worry, I settled with adding them in the background and kind of painting these like dust streaks or whatnot behind them, so it looked like they were like flying into the scene and causing havoc, and I'm literally a 5-year-old. I did feel like the background was still a little bit empty here, so I wanted to figure out a way to really kind of like, you know, drive home the fact that this was a complete scene. So what did I do? I added one of the most popular planets from Star Wars, and that is Coruscant. And then what made this even more big brain was the fact that I found out that Coruscant has 4 moons, which means our Wolverine here would technically be on one of those moons. I made sure to add some particles all around the scene to make sure that there was like, you know, kind of a fire vibe going on. And with everything pretty much looking complete, I decided to add a camera raw. I think it's safe to say that we've got a pretty angry Sith Lord version of Wolverine on our hands. I'm kind of curious, what would you name his character? Let me know down below. I'm kind of leaning towards Darth Logan, but I'm interested to hear the creative names that you guys come up with. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the next Marvel character in Star Wars. Next up, I definitely want to do something with Iron Man. Now, Tony Stark is extremely tech savvy, and I must say, I kind of am tempted to put him in the middle of a duel, because I feel like with Tony Stark's cockiness, it only makes sense. I mean, could you imagine Iron Man landing on Mustafar and just kind of like engaging in a duel with a Sith Lord? I found this image, I threw it into my canvas, and I decided that he should go up against Kylo Ren, particularly because I love his lightsaber, but we're not going to talk about that. So the next thing that I did was I found a nice lava image from Envato Elements to kind of put at the bottom of the canvas. I really wanted to sell the fact that this had to be Mustafar. And you guys know the drill. I went ahead and darkened all my layers and then started to paint backlight, particularly where like the lava piles were. But for now, let's go ahead and focus on Kylo Ren's badass lightsaber. I went ahead and painted the light back on that, but something did not look right with it. So I decided to kind of make my own kind of like lightsaber rays for now. It was very clear to me that there was going to be a lot of blending problems because of the way that the images look looked. So one of the things that I did was I started to add some haze lighting behind Kylo Ren and really work with some smoke to add some atmospheric depth. And the reason for this is to not only hide some of the imperfections in the Kylo Ren PNG, but it allowed me to create some nice atmosphere to really blend the images together. From here, it was obviously time to do some work on Iron Man because he's just a silhouette in the frame right now, so I darkened him and added some highlights, kind of where light would be hitting him in the scene. Next, what I did was I got this like 3D sword from Envato that looked really badass and honestly like it would belong to Tony Stark's suit. I cut it down and I manipulated it so it looked like Iron Man was holding it in his fists. After I did some shading for a little bit, I decided that obviously his lightsaber has to be blue because his arc reactor is blue, and I don't know if, you know, Tony would be a Sith or a Jedi. Let me know what you think he would be down below in the comments, but for this video, we're gonna go ahead and make him a Jedi. Next, I went ahead and added my rim lights. I just love how these look. Like, the final touches is so awesome. And at this point, I was just deciding to add some final effects, like some dust particles on the lightsaber to make it look like it was really charged, and all sorts of cool details like that if you were to zoom into it. And after spending a little bit more time on atmospheric depth, I went ahead and threw it in camera raw and added probably one of the cleanest camera raws I've ever had. Let me know what you think. And just like that, we made the genius playboy billionaire philanthropist a Jedi. And if I'm being completely honest, I would not want to be on the other end of that lightsaber, especially if I'm Kylo Ren, okay? While we're at it, I'm curious, do you think that Kylo Ren or Iron Man would win in a lightsaber fight? Let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, let's hit our next hero. And now for Captain America. Now, we all know that Cap's main reason for fighting is justice and fighting for the greater good, so obviously he's got to be a Jedi Knight. And I want to make sure that we keep a strong hero look that really speaks, I'm ready to take on the Empire, even if it's all of them all at once. So I started out by grabbing this rock from Envato Elements and just putting this awesome Captain America PNG that I found online right into the image, which is going to work perfect, especially with that closed fist. I went ahead and did not waste any time. I went to Envato and grabbed a lightsaber kind of like looking thing, and I put it in his fist, knowing that I'm going to make it glow because obviously lightsabers glow. I went ahead and painted the green on the lightsaber very early so I could start painting some surface lights on Cap, which definitely started paying off, but I did feel like something was missing, so I outlined the star and made sure that glowed as well, so it really kind of like sold the fact that he was kind of all together glowing, you know what I mean? Like, he had the power of the Force. Kind of like that moment when he kind of held Mjolnir in Endgame. That was pretty cool. So I kind of wanted to replicate that feeling with this type of vibe. After that, I went ahead and added some green and I darkened all of my layers. You guys know the drill. I went ahead and added some smoke for some atmospheric depth because you guys know that's like my signature move. I love that. Don't know how many times I'm going to say it in this video. And I went ahead to work a little bit more under Captain America's feet and add some shadows. I added another rim light on the rock that Cap was standing on, and I went ahead and added so much smoke in the background to really sell the effect that this planet was alive. And again, whenever I'm working with a light source like a lightsaber, I make sure to add some nice dust to it or some debris to make it look like it's actually sparking and the particles around the character are catching light because of it. And just like that, without even blinking, it was time for camera raw. I went ahead and camera rawed the image and it came out fantastic. Captain America as the Jedi kind of seems cursed, but if you're asking me, I think we found the galaxy's newest protector. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this video has been one of the most exciting videos I have ever worked on my channel, and I think that I have created some of my best work in this video. I wanna know which one of these three posters was your favorite, so let me know down below in the comments. Me personally, I'm a big fan of the Wolverine one, but I've also heard a lot of people are really excited about the Captain America one. I'm actually really surprised we were able to wrap up all of these in such a decent amount of time, and on top of that, I am very excited for future videos like this. But in the meantime, if you guys want to go ahead and watch me do something similar, watch me design a poster for Jinxie right over here. You guys absolutely loved it, and it's one of my favorite videos on the channel. So go check it out and let me know what you think. But without further ado, this has been Frostify, and I will see you guys in the next upload. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.